Hello, it's me, and we are talking Supreme Moral Principle. The essay you read is called Supreme Moral Principle, and we're asking the question, is there a supreme moral principle? That's our question for step 1. In step 2, we have to define our terms. So terms you should know. Absolute. What's an absolute something? Absolute means no exceptions. A relative moral rule would be one that depends on the circumstance. A supreme moral principle is an absolute rule. Its actual definition is it's the ultimate ethical guide telling you what you should and shouldn't do at all times. So, it's just another way of saying is there an absolute moral rule, but the author defines it as supreme moral principle. So we're asking, is there a supreme moral principle? All right. Step 3. There's 2 parts to Stephen Kahn's answer. The first part is, no, there is not a supreme moral principle. The second part is, though by evaluating the options, we learn that a moral person is sensitive to others. So, he's going to basically go over 4 different theories that have been offered as supreme moral principles. 2 from religion, 2 from philosophy. In each of them he finds a flaw. And in each flaw you see that the reason it's a flaw is because someone is not being considered. Which supports the second part of his answer, which is a moral person is sensitive to others. So in step 4, we're going to label it A through D. And for each one of these you need to know the name of the theory, what the theory is, and the flaw to the theory. And that supports both parts of this answer. Okay? The first one, the golden rule. Most people have heard this one. The golden rule states, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. What's good about this one? Well, there's a lot good about this one actually. I use it with my son. If he's at the playground and he takes another kid's toy, I've said, okay, do you like it when they take your toy? And he's like, no. I'm like, then should you take their toy? And you can see the look on his face. He's like, oh, no. Sorry. So you use it as a basis for ethics. You use it as a basis for teaching empathy. There's a lot good about this particular theory and this moral framework. But is it a supreme moral principle? Now that we've said the good things about it, let's look towards ripping it apart. What's the flaw here? Does it actually work for all people at all times? No. And the example used in the book of a masochist enjoys pain. So if you tell a masochist who enjoys pain, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, then you are literally telling the masochist to go around hitting people. That cannot be a good supreme moral principle if you're telling people to hit other people. So it fails as a supreme moral principle. The other problem with this is, if you think about it, you have to take it literally. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat others the way you want them to treat you. Alright, well, how would I like to be treated? I would like someone to do all my shopping, all my cleaning, and all my cooking. That would be lovely. I could like that. So, if I have to do unto others as I would have them do unto me, I now have to go over to all my friends' houses and cook their dinners and do their shopping and clean their houses. I'm not going to like that. So, the other flaw to this theory is you have too much to do. I mean, if you actually spent all your time doing for other people what you would like them to do for you, you would be extremely busy. Okay? Now, we can fix one of these flaws. How do you fix the flaw we just talked about? Change it to our second option, which is going to be negative golden rule. And the negative golden rule states, if it's hateful to you, don't do it to somebody else. Now, since I find cooking, cleaning, and shopping hateful, I no longer have to do it to other people. Yay! That's good. I fixed that flaw. Did we fix the flaw with the masochist? The masochist enjoys pain. So now it says if it's hateful to you, don't do it to somebody else. So we're no longer telling the masochist to go hit people, but we're not forbidding the masochist from hitting people. So it still fails as a supreme moral principle. Okay? That is the second theory. The third theory is utilitarianism. And utilitarianism says the moral action is the one that creates the greatest good for the greatest number. Everyone's happiness counted equally. So you literally think of like the scales you see in front of a courthouse. You've got scales on either side. You're trying to make a moral decision. Everybody involved in the decision gets a vote. One vote. Happy votes go over here, unhappy votes go over here. If the happy votes, you have more happy votes than unhappy votes, it's the right thing to do. If you have more unhappy votes than the happy votes, it's the wrong thing to do. This is what the original conception of utilitarianism. The good things about this theory is it's very flexible, and it's a form of consequentialism. So you're basing your decisions on the consequences. So each situation is going to be different, and that's a good thing in a lot of ways. The problem with this, and what we're going to call the flaw, is if you have enough people enjoying something horrible based on utilitarianism, it's the right thing to do. For example, for the example used in the book, you got the Colosseums. What did they do in the Colosseums way back when? Ancient Greece? Ancient Rome? I'd have to think about which one it is. Anyway, so they would throw someone to the lion, either a slave or a prisoner. Eventually it became gladiators, but originally it was slaves and prisoners. So the Colosseum fits 10,000 people. If you're the politician trying to decide if it's moral to throw someone to the lion, you imagine your scale. You have 10,000 people who enjoy it. They all get a happy vote. You get one person that does not like it. The person being eaten by the lion. Now, according to utilitarianism, is this the right thing to do? Yes, according to utilitarianism, that's the right thing to do. And that is a very big flaw. You do not want your supreme moral principle to argue that it's okay to throw someone to the lion. The reality of the situation is John Stuart Mill, the philosopher who came up with utilitarianism, tried to fix his theory after it was criticized and changed it to say that you should take into account everyone's happiness, weighing the happiness according to the quality of the happiness. So if you have a low quality happiness, like watching someone being eaten by a lion, it's not going to weigh much. If you have a high quality unhappiness, like being eaten by the lion, it's going to weigh a lot more. So high quality happinesses, things like intellectual, creative, the really like special. I'm not a sports person, so I was going to try an example of sports, but I don't know much about sports. So, like, if you're a Michael Jordan or something, or like a gymnast who's going to win the Olympics. So really high quality happinesses would be like if you're a singer and you're singing to the best of your ability in Madison Square Garden and it's better than anything you've imagined. And you compare that happiness with the happiness of, say, riding a roller coaster. High quality happiness gets weighted heavier than low quality happiness. So in this way, he tried to fix his theory of utilitarianism. That is kind of a side note for this checklist. What you need to know for the checklist is the name of utilitarianism, its original definition, which is The moral action is the one that creates the greatest happiness for the greatest number, everyone's happiness counting equally. You need to know the flaw. For example, you could throw someone in a lion. If enough people enjoy something horrible, then it's moral. So that doesn't work as a supreme moral principle. So the last one. The last one is called Kant's correct maxim theory. Kant, K-A-N-T, not to be confused with Kahn, C-A-H-N, the author of the essay, is the one that came up with the correct maxim theory. And he believed that human beings have a moral nature, just like we have a physical nature. That all human beings have an innate sense of right and wrong. We all have a gut reaction. We all have something in us that gives us an idea of what's right and what's wrong. You're like born with it. You're a human being, so you just automatically have a sense of right and wrong. And the idea in ethics is to test your innate sense, test your gut, see if what you consider the right thing to do is really the right thing to do. So how do you test it? You universalize it. You universalize it means you basically imagine a world where everybody acts just like you do. And if it's a good world and it's a world you want to live in, then it's the right thing to do. If it's a bad world and it creates chaos and conflict, it's the wrong thing to do. I think of it as the don't be a hypocrite rule. If it's good for you, it has to be good for everybody else. If it's bad for you, it has to be bad for everybody else. I'm not sure Immanuel Kant would appreciate wording his theory that way. But that's the theory, Kant's correct maxim theory. Immanuel Kant himself thought 2 rules passed his test. Don't lie, or be honest, and help those in need. Well, there's obviously problems with this. For one thing, you can think of examples fairly easily when it's moral to lie. There are cases when you should just lie. If you are hiding your best friend from their crazy ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, and the boyfriend or girlfriend's banging on your door and saying, are they in there? Are they in there? Is it moral to say, oh yes, they're right here? No, you should lie at that point. So that does not work as a supreme moral principle either. You also have cases where you can't do both rules. You can't be honest and help those in need at the same time. So which one do you follow? And that's a problem. So let's say you're broke, you have 2 kids, you need to feed them, you need to help them. You don't get paid till Friday, it's now Tuesday, you don't have the money for gas, you're screwed. A friend of yours walks by and say, hey, how you doing? And you look at them and for some reason you tell them the truth and you say, I'm rotten, life sucks, I'm broke, that's how I'm doing. And the friend of yours looks at you and says, I'm so sorry to hear that. He pulls out his wallet and says, hey, let me loan you $100, pay me back on Thursday. You don't get paid till Friday. What do you do? And according to Immanuel Kant, you're supposed to be honest and help those in need. Well, if you're honest and you look at him and say, hey, I don't get paid till Friday, can I please still borrow the money? You risk not helping your kids. And you're also supposed to help those in need. Or you can help those in need, take the money, but by taking the money, you're implicitly lying because you know you can't pay him back on Thursday, you can pay him back on Friday. So what do you do? This would be an example of the flaw and why it cannot be a supreme moral principle. Alright, those are the 4 different theories. Golden rule, negative golden rule, utilitarianism, and Kant's correct maxim theory. Now, step 5. Step 5 the flaw does not argue for any of those theories. The flaw is going to argue against Kant's definition of a moral person. Kant defines a moral person as being sensitive to others. And ethical egoism is the theory that says that no one is ever sensitive to others. We all do what's in our best interest at all times. Even if it seems like we're doing something good, it's really because it's in our best interest, or we wouldn't be doing it. For example, one second. I'm having a cough here. Let's say you hear about a famous chef who is cooking at a homeless shelter. You hear that and you go, oh, what a nice guy. Well, are they really nice? Now let's hear the rest of the story. The reason the chef is volunteering his time is because he has a reputation for being difficult and no one will hire him, and his publicist told him, do something nice, get it in the newspapers, and then I can try to get you a job. But right now, you have a reputation for being difficult. So go do something nice. So the reason the chef is cooking at the homeless shelter is so he gets it in the news and he gets a reputation for being nice. Do you still think the chef is a nice or a good person? According to the ethical egoist, the chef is just doing what's in the chef's best interest. And that even if we seem like good people, there's really no good or bad. It's just we're doing what's in our best interest. So let's say you're a doctor and you enjoy healing people. So you love healing people. And you work at a hospital here somewhere and you love half of your job, because half of your job you're healing people. And the other half of the time you're dealing with office politics and paperwork and insurance problems and all of these other things you hate. So you love half of your job, you hate half of your job. Then you get a job offer from Doctors Without Borders who say, hey, we're setting up a free clinic in Guatemala, and all you have to do all day, every day is heal people. There's no paperwork, there's no insurance, just come in and heal people. Should you take the job? Well, yeah, you're getting exactly what you want. Now, is the doctor a good person? The ethical egoist would say no, because the doctor is doing what's in their best interest. And their best interest is doing what they enjoy healing people, that's why they're doing it. That's the flaw. Now, step 6. What is Kahn, C-A-H-N, the author of the essay's response to that? He's going to say that ethical egoists misunderstand the idea of selfishness. That there's nothing wrong with the doctor taking the job. It's not selfish. It's not based on self-interest. The reason she enjoys healing people is because she cares about other people. There's nothing wrong with getting something good, a good feeling for doing something good. It doesn't make it selfish. It actually means that you care. And that is Kahn's response and step 6 of our checklist. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, email me. Have a good one.